This program is proudly brought to you by Malta Guinness.
Welcome to the show. This is the Progressive Woman's Show. My name is Ama Pratt. This evening, we are going to be having a very interesting conversation. You know that normally on the show, we are about 3-4 people having a conversation. Today, it's just me and my guest, who also happens to be my brother, who are going to be having one long debate. So today, I am not the host of the show. I'm just a co-fighter, in what's about to go down this evening. Feminism has always been a big topic. It's a big topic globally, but especially on this show, feminism is it's like a central theme in most of the conversations that we have. If I'm being completely honest, as somebody who proudly, chest out claims feminism, so feminists and proud here. Feminism is a central part in, my everyday life. This evening, our conversation is the other side of feminism. Yeah, the other side of feminism. Interesting, I know. And even more interesting is the fact that I am going to be having this fight with my brother, Kojo Yankson, the morning man, on the Joy Super Morning Show, on air, radio, TV personality, fashion, icon, all things great and wonderful. Hey, boo.
This introduction was a trap.
No, it's not. All facts.
It's always
all facts. All facts. So, just to be clear, this is a conversation that we have a lot, myself and Kojo. Actually, it's a fight. I don't go in fights, We do it in person, we do it on social media. It's been ongoing for a while. Now, I have to insist and tell you that whether Kojo admits it or not, he is a feminist, fundamentally, because we have some basic, there are some bases that both of us agree on. Our debate has, perhaps there's a tree, we all agree on the tree, but there is just the stems and the branches and the fruits that we tend to disagree about. And to be very honest, I have come across some of the views that you share. So I appreciate that feminism is very controversial as a topic presently. And if for nothing at all, at the end of this show, we would like to have had an extensive conversation about what it is, its impact. Could you correct me if I didn't point if I'm wrong? Its impact for all of us, and perhaps to engage with it in a better way. To engage with that word feminism in a better way. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Kojo.
Thank you, Amma. Oh goodness, I'm nervous now.
I do not believe you.
Oh, I am.
Okay, so I call you a feminist. Do you agree or do you disagree?
Actually, I have to agree.
Right.
Because you're right. We both believe that there must be equality between the two genders or sexes or whatever the correct term is. We both agree there shouldn't be any disadvantage to either side when it comes to the interactions between men and women.
Right.
And that's a good thing to agree on, because it means that we are not really fighting. What we are doing is we are debating the details.
Right.
Which is a good thing, because debating the details improves the final product either way, no matter whose point prevails. Now, the reason why I'm glad I'm a feminist is because the truth is that the world has not been an equal place for men and women. Historically, it has not been equal. Otherwise, there wouldn't even have been a need for any movement called the feminist movement.
Right.
And this thing has been around for a long time. I mean, you could probably trace it back to the end of the 19th century, coming into the 20th century. Right. Okay, so 1890, around that time, okay, when the inequalities were obvious, right? If you were a woman, you couldn't vote. If you were a woman, you couldn't own property. If you were a woman, you couldn't enter into a contract, which is ridiculous, bearing in mind that marriage is a contract.
Right.
So there were
Couldn't
obvious...
buy land, couldn't own land.
You couldn't own land, you couldn't own any property, you couldn't own a car, you couldn't own a shop, you couldn't own anything.
You couldn't go to some places by yourself.
Yes. In fact, well, I don't know. This will probably be another thing we disagree on. There are places today where you can't go if you're a woman.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And
very
there are places...
recently, and I would say it, this very popular hotel, Move and Pick, I think. It became so topical. I think 2 doctors walked in there unaccompanied. They were stopped. Of course, there was an uproar, you know, and so everybody on social media started talking about it.
Yes.
And it was such a ridiculous...
just a few years ago.
Yeah, just a few years ago, yes. Right.
But even today, there are clubs that are men only. You know, there are places where you can't go because of your gender. Right? There are also women only clubs and places like that. So what I'm saying is
Those are colder.
What I'm saying is that whatever the absolute equality is, we are not there yet. But it started way back then, 18th, 19th century, when there were fundamental and basic injustices against women. Couldn't vote, couldn't own property, couldn't enter contracts, and so forth. So a movement called the suffrage, the universal suffrage movement, you know, to get votes for women started. And that was sort of the spark behind the feminism movement. It then started to evolve. So after the battle was won for legal equality in these areas, of course, that wasn't the only area where equality was necessary. So the next wave of feminism reignited somewhere around the 60s. Again, this was all starting in the West, okay? This was all happening in the West, in the UK, Europe. So yeah, around the 60s, the second wave then came along. And this time around, it wasn't just about legal equality. There was some of that, you know, like in the workplace. There wasn't equality between men and women in the workplace. Certain jobs, if you're a woman and you apply, forget it. You won't get it. It just, you are not, it's not an option available to you. That had to change. Ceilings had to be broken so that it becomes normal for a woman to aspire to any job that a man can aspire to. That battle started to rage in the 60s. Some will say that it never got to a complete end, but progress was made because certain taboos were broken. Then that one also went on till maybe beginning of the 80s. Then there was a bit of a commercial break. And then in the 90s, the third wave kicked off, and that one hasn't stopped yet.
Right.
It's still ongoing. Now this third wave, it was like, you know what, we didn't get enough in the second wave. So let's mop up the bits that we didn't get. So there was further fight for equality, you know, in the workplace and in social circumstances. But then there was also the fight for the protection of the woman's body, right? That as a woman, I must have a right, because my body is different from yours. Because my body does certain things that yours doesn't do as a man. There are certain rights that I must have in order for my body to be protected. You don't have that problem. You're a man, you don't have those issues.
We disagree on that, Kojo.
Well, the truth is, a man's body is not like a woman's. Okay, so a man does not require reproductive rights. Right. The same way that a woman's body requires reproductive rights. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say that, you know, women were saying that our bodies are different from yours. Therefore,
in terms of the functions.
Yes. Therefore, there are certain rights that we must have. That is not a problem for you, but for us it's a problem. So we need these rights in order for things to be right. Now, the women were right to identify those differences and require that those differences must not be made impediments to their lives. But it also started something else. It started the idea that, you know what, fighting for women's rights is not only about making a woman equal to a man. It's just about making things better for a woman. So feminism became more than just fighting for equality, which is funny because every dictionary definition I looked for before this show talks about equality, fighting for equality and laws, to make the situation of men and women equal. But at that point where the reproductive rights became an issue, it moved from being equal, making a woman equal to a man, it moved to making life good for a woman. Okay? Now, again, that's not a problem. What's wrong with making life good? Nothing wrong. Unless it makes life bad for someone else in the process.
And of course, in this instance, the man.
Well, as Jesus said, these are your words, not mine. So it is at that point, well, I'm going to try and find some words. It's at that point that the feminism movement evolved a little bit. Now, one thing that the feminism movement got right, succeeded in, is that it created a world where a man either agrees that there is an inequality and he must be part of the solution, or if he disagrees, he keeps quiet. That is an achievement of feminism. So now what we have are men who are either feminist or quiet. Okay? Now, if you are a feminist, you argue for the cause of women. You understand the history that women have suffered. Women have gone without for generations. So even if today things are equal, the inequality of yesterday creates inequality today. Okay. Right? So men who argue for the cause of women still feel like no matter what the world is like today, women are still the marginalized group.
But that's the truth.
Not in all areas. There are still areas in which women are marginalized. And I think I have to say this clearly here, right, so that it is not thought that I believe that we have achieved equality or that women are now superior to men. Or no. There are still areas of life in which women are marginalized. But now there are also areas in life in which men are marginalized.
Where? Which
so many of them. Okay, so let's take marriage, for example.
Let's take marriage. Marriage, we are rushing through these things. All the points I have against everything you said. I don't want you to.
Let me just do the marriage one, and then you can come in. Yeah. So let's just take marriage. There are some who will argue that marriage is ultimately a disadvantage to men. First of all, it's very difficult for me to think of anything that a married man has that a single man cannot have or pay for. So what does marriage give a married man? What? Children? A single man can have children. Companionship? A single man can have companionship. Sex? A single man can have sex. What is that? What exactly is it? Well, a partner, a companion. What do I need a partner for? Business? I can get a business partner. Do I need a partner in my house? I can get a housemate. Or I could get a girlfriend. I don't have to go into a legal contract with a woman in order to have companionship from her. So when I think through the entire gamut of advantages that a married man has, I can't think of any that a single man cannot have. Right? But there are disadvantages. Like? That a married man has that a single man doesn't have to worry about.
Please. Expatiate. Okay. Actually, no. Right. What's the word for that?
Yes, expatiate. Okay. By law, in every civilized part of the world, in a divorce, a woman is entitled to half unless a man's lawyer is better than the woman's. And even that one, I mean, even a lawyer fast asleep can get half for a woman. So half is the starting point.
Half of what?
Anything that is owned.
By the couple?
Not necessarily. Because if the thing is in the man's name, the woman is still entitled to half of it. All right?
I'll come to it. I'm writing everything down.
It's not just property. Children. The law automatically prefers for a mother to have custody of a child. And that is the default setting. There's also the area of children, right? Now, when it comes to children, the law automatically assumes, or it starts from a default position, that in a divorce or an end of a marriage, custody should be with the mother. Okay. Now, I don't know what research went into that position. There was a certain natural gearing towards the roles that traditionally had been assigned to women in terms of nurturing children and all that. And because of that, the courts followed suit and created a default situation where custody will go to the mother unless there is evidence that she's unfit or any other, extenuating circumstances. So you start from a position of custody for mother, and if you are good, you can fight out to the position of joint custody. It is a very unique situation where custody will be given solely to the father, with the mother rather having visitation or no rights to the children. That is rare, so rare that when it happens, it usually makes the news. So the default position is mother. In some cases, you can fight for joint. In very rare cases, the father has custody. That's a disadvantage to a man. It's not just the matter of ownership, property ownership or childbirth, but in terms of even social rights. Okay, so when there is a divorce, there is an expectation that the lifestyle of the child, and by extension the mother, is funded by the man. They call it alimony. Mm-hmm. And this is also a default position of law. To change it, you must have some crazy argument. In fact, in some parts of the world, in the US, where a lot of the feminism fight is being fought, there are almost no exceptions to the idea of child support. Child support must be paid. It is only in rare circumstances that the mother is the one paying the child support, because perhaps she earns and the man doesn't. Okay, but in most cases, the rule, not the exception, the rule is that if in a divorce, the man will be the one who supports financially the other part of the severed family.
Right.
That is a disadvantage. So if you look at marriage as a whole, whereas there is no clear advantage, there are clear disadvantages to the man.
Can I come in?
I think you can.
Okay, so yes, fundamentally, the world not being equal, all those things, agreed. The fight, of course, coming from the West, agreed. Now, the fight coming from the West, factually, yes, it's true. But where we are now, and I find that as a constant criticism of feminism, the fact that it's some Western construct or it's some foreign culture, so, and I find it, I don't know, just not factual. Because for me, feminism is as real here in Africa as it is in the West. So just that, and I'm sure that you have some, we'll get into that argument with time. This other thing about legal, I agree, and I don't think that you had anything against it taking legal dimensions in the past, because there were real issues at stake. Those legal changes have come to solve some real tangible, like even the ability to vote, and basic stuff like that. Now, I was just waiting for you to mention one word and you didn't, culture, which for me is where we are presently with feminism. It's this attempt to alter culture. And I think that's what makes this wave of feminism so difficult and so unappreciated, if I can say that. Because culture is a very complex thing. And it goes to the heart of who we are. So any attempt to go there becomes a problem. The legal ones, we could do that because those are clear violations, human rights issues. Those are, it's black and white. But I feel as though when it comes to the cultural changes, it's harder. And most of the arguments that you make, for me, goes to prove how hard it is for us to make those changes that are necessary for us to make. And I insist it's necessary for us to make those changes. Now, Kojo, I completely disagree about marriage. I think that marriage disadvantages the woman.
Talk to me about this.
Let's talk, Kojo. So you say what? A man can have children without marriage. A woman can have children without marriage. A man can have companionship without marriage. A woman can have companionship without marriage. A man can have sex without marriage. A woman can have sex without marriage. A man can have a partner without marriage. A woman can have a partner without marriage. We are equal. I mean, we are, even.
Not at all.
Yes, we are, Kojo.
A woman can do all those things with massive disadvantages. A man can do them with no disadvantage.
Culture. We're back to culture. Culturally, if a woman attempts to do these things outside of a marriage, there would be some stigma. And it's all cultural.
Legally, economically, financially, not just culturally. Look, economically. No. And again, we're talking about the rule, not the exception. Right? Okay.
But you see, and for me, that is why feminism is so tangible. That in 2022, a man can have a child outside of marriage with no repercussions, it's okay. But a woman cannot.
It's not that you cannot.
Let's go back to basic equality.
At a cost.
Yeah, but at no cost to the man, but at some cost to the woman.
At different cost to the man.
Okay, so now let's come back to the specific issues that you speak about. Half of the, which is why I was very specific about adding, is the property acquired by the two, and you were also very specific in saying that even the ones acquired by the man. And Kojo, we've had this argument only last week, was it?
You and I?
Yes, only last week about, and I insist. So in a home, the argument is that the man is the one that's working. Let's even take a home where the woman has no job. So we say the man is the one working, the woman is the one staying at home. So because he's the one that's working, he's the one that's physically earning cash. So he's bringing hard cash, like actual physical money to the home. And so between the two of us, if we acquire property, the notion is that he is the one that paid for it. And this is the argument, and we had it last week. My argument is that, not my argument, this is an age-old argument. The argument is that the woman is also contributing financially to the home, even if she's at home. Because the point is, if she's cooking, that's somebody's job. That's somebody that somebody would go home at the end of the month with money for. A chef gets paid. A cook in your house would get paid. So if she's just cooking for you in the home, that's actual cash that she's contributing to the home that you would have spent to pay for a chef or a cook. Now, if she's doing the laundry, that's work. You would pay a washman to come to the house to wash the things for you, assuming you're single and you're not married. Or you would do it yourself, again at some cost, or you would go to the laundromat and pay for it. That's work. Gardening. Babysitting. Let's call it a nanny. And here's the cracker for me in all of this. I was listening to somebody make an argument about how, I read somewhere. The person was saying that we have to be very specific about sort of qualifying that as work for the woman. That we need to be clear that if a woman plays with her child and it's just random play, would that qualify as caring for the child? Or would the care have to do the kind of care that gives psychological impact for the child? So that we have to make that differentiation and then decide that the one that gives psychological well-being to the child becomes one that should be quantifiable and cashable, if that makes sense. So that that type of play would be just random mother playing with the child, which for me is just...
It's nonsense.
Ridiculous. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kojo. Ridiculous. So it is service that is paid for. If you have a nanny, you pay for the service of that nanny. Here we call them house help. You would pay for those services. So the fact that you went out there 9 to 5 and you got a check at the end of the month and I stayed home 6 to 6 and did not actually get paid for what I am doing, both of us are bringing cash home.
Okay, Ama.
What I am doing is you're not taking cash home for me. So if we acquire property, it is ours.
Okay.
And I think that's the wisdom that went into this law. And it's good law.
Ama,
Good law, Kojo.
I see. I don't want us to blur the issues. I agree it's good law, but not for the reason you gave. I actually agree it's good law, but not for the reason you gave. The reason why I think it's good law is because no matter what you earn and acquire after marriage, there is a contribution of the woman. Whether it doesn't matter how that contribution was given. If even all she was doing was when you come home, she gives you fans. Hey, Oga, Bossu, you do all, and that makes you confident to go back and do more. She has contributed. So for me, that's why that law is good, but not because of housework. Do you know why you should avoid the housework conversation?
I will not avoid that.
Because Ama, if it was because of the housework, if there was financial value attached to housework, then every woman who lives in a house where there is already a maid, a cook, a chef, is not entitled to anything on divorce. If it's about housework, but then those women should immediately remove.
Like that
go to the in the past, for those that 1% of men who are the most desirable to women because they have extreme wealth, if you marry into their lives, you're not coming to cook and clean. You're not coming to wash dishes.
Those are the exceptions to the rule.
They are the 1%. That's why I said 1%. But that is the 1% that every woman desires. You are all chasing that 1%. So what I'm saying is this, if you make it about housework, if you try to
for the other 99, it is about housework. There's a 1%, yes, but there's a 99. And for that 99, there are men who get married for that housework.
Okay, then Amma, let's make it clear. Let's clarify it this way. In every household where the man works and the woman is at home, if you make this rule, what you are doing is you are attaching value to the amount of work the woman does at home. And if it is in any way less than the work the man does out there, then she's not entitled to
This is the conversation that we should be having.
Actually, it isn't. For me, look, I wouldn't want my sister to be in a marriage where what she gets if the marriage ends is based on how much housework she did.
That is what we are trying to
that's
change.
why I'm saying good. So don't make it about housework. So don't make it about housework. Make it about the fact that this woman is contributing to the man's life, not through housework. Look, because if that's the case, then any man who helps his wife with housework is reducing the amount she can get at the end of the marriage. So if you live in a house where the man comes home from cleaning sewers, from building pylon cables, from constructing railway lines, and then he comes home and comes to carry the baby, he comes to wash the dishes, he stands behind you when you are cooking and he's chopping your onions for you, he's wiping your dishes when you wash them, he's cutting your value into two. So you cannot make your value about housework.
I have this huge smile on my face because
tell us about your smile.
Every time this argument has been made where housework has been devalued in such a way that it's made to seem less stressful or less strenuous.
No.
And a woman has asked the man to stay home and try it. We know the outcome.
Does he ask her to also go out and build pylon cables?
Very difficult work, Kojo.
Does he also ask her to go out and build pylon cables?
There are women who can't even do it. Kojo.
Look, you see, the thing about this society and this culture you are trying to change, the fact is that even though women do not want men to have tradition or do not want to glorify the traditional role that men play, they also don't want to play it.
We want to play it.
Amma,
let's come back to the next one.
Be careful what you wish for.
We wish it.
Be careful what you wish for.
We wish it. Look, hold on. Let's come to the next one. Let's come to the next one about children.
Let me ask you a question.
No, children. Then
okay.
You ask me the question.
All right.
Kojo, how can you have any reservations about the natural order being that the child is given to the mother? He came from her or she came from her. I bet that child is a part of the mother. It's a part of her. Literally came out through her. How would anybody tell me that between a man and a woman, if somebody should have possession of a child, and God forgive me, it's a very wrong choice of words.
I know what you mean.
Right, you know what I mean.
Custody of the child.
Then it should be the man.
Okay.
How?
Let me prove it to you with science.
When I carried this child for 9 months.
Let me prove it to you with science.
And
let me prove it to you with science.
You want to do what?
Okay, Amma. So here are statistics. I didn't make these up. Here are statistics. If you look at the number of suicides, the number of convictions for violent crime, and the number of failed marriages. Majority of suicides, convictions for violent crime, and failed marriages involve people who were raised either without a mother and father or by a single mother. Without a mother and father or by a single mother. The minority, the smallest number of them, were either raised by a married couple or by a single father.
But Kojo,
I'm
not even going to challenge your facts.
So let me tell you what it means.
But I can
so
tell
let
you why.
me tell you what it means.
Let me agree with your statistics.
Before you tell me why, let me tell you what it means. What it means is that in order for a person to turn out right,
he should be given to the father.
They should either be raised by both mother and father or by father.
No.
That's what the statistics are telling us. That's what the statistics are telling us.
That is not
the largest number of suicides, convictions for violent crime, and by the way, that includes rape. That includes all the things that feminism is fighting against.
Kojo.
Right? Majority of the perpetrators were raised by single mothers.
Kojo, but
majority.
Can I tell you why?
So Ama,
Kojo,
actually, I do not understand what it is that led the court to decide that the default position is that in a divorce, the child should go to the mother.
I would be shocked if any court had decided that the default position would be that.
That's the case.
I would be shocked.
That's the case around the world.
Let me
all around the world.
Statistics. I have no reason to.
Oh, I'll share
the
sources with you.
You know that I trust you. You are very honest. I agree with your statistics. Now, the point for me is that what it means is that the woman's fight is harder, and the woman tends to do it alone. This man, you say the child, if the child is raised by two, the man and the woman, right?
Or by a single father.
I dare say there's a strong. I'm sorry.
Show them the finger you are showing me before they take you on.
Oh dear. No, not that finger. Kojo, there's a woman involved.
In what?
With
the single father?
Yes.
Oh, Amma, what are you doing?
What am I doing then?
What are you doing? So with the single mother there, is there a man involved or not?
No man involved.
Amma, alimony. That single mother walking around complaining from morning till night is being funded by a man. Who is funding the single father? Who is funding him? So Amma, no, it's not the same. It is absolutely not the same.
I'm saying that the woman's fight is harder.
But she has the support of a man.
But you see, here's what factually, Kojo, now let's talk facts. The truth is that alimony exists in name. You know that.
Actually, I do.
How many?
You know, I have a personal experience, so I don't know that.
I know that you do. But
okay.
You are the exception to the rule.
Hey!
A lot of women, once that separation happens, that man, you have to fight him to get a little something to support. Women are doing it by themselves.
Amma.
Men are not contributing.
Amma.
Why are people being dragged to court in the first place? How many people are actually paying? How many men? Even when they can't.
It's good that you've asked that question. It's good that you've asked that question. Because, listen, do you know how many men there are in this world? Do you know how many divorced men there are in this world? If indeed most of them have to be dragged to court, courts will not have room for other cases. So
no, some women just do it by themselves. Actually, most women just do it by themselves.
Listen, Amma, the fact is that whether you have to force him, insult him, chase him, if he pays, then he's not among the group of people not supporting the woman. Do you understand? As long as he's paying, you cannot count him among the group that is not paying. The group that is not paying is always in the minority. It is not the norm that fathers do not support their children. You can't sell that anywhere. It's not the norm in any part of the world. Even in the third world, it's not the norm. It's not.
Kojo, it actually is the norm.
It's not the norm.
Even for men who have the resources, Kojo, even for the men who have the resources,
It is an unfortunate.
It's kind of a payback to the woman for deciding to walk
about?
out. That is the truth, Kojo.
Ama, for a father to pay back his child.
Not the child, the mother.
But there's a child who suffers if
But that's what men do. Why do people always complain about Father's Day, nobody minding fathers?
Listen, so you think that the reason why nobody minds fathers on Father's Day is because they don't pay?
Because
they don't fund. They don't fund.
Kojo.
Look, Ama,
and being absent involves the financial.
I don't know who you will ever convince that the absentee deadbeat dad is in the majority. I don't know how you are going to support that.
You think that's in the minority? But
of course it is. Of course it is. Look, unless you, who do you think men are? Do you think that after a man brings a child into this world, his natural instinct is to abandon the child?
Not his natural instinct. I agree.
If it is not his natural instinct,
if
it is not his natural instinct, so what you are saying is that this man,
to abandon the
so
child.
this man's natural instinct is not to abandon the child. So the child is born, he doesn't abandon the child. The marriage goes on, he doesn't abandon the child. The marriage ends, suddenly he abandons the child. Does this compute for you?
But it's happening.
Ama, there are men who abandon their children. They are not in the majority, is what I'm saying. It is an anomaly for a man to abandon his child. Honestly, but you see, I get it. In order for the feminism movement to adopt the shape it wants to adopt today, it has to push certain narratives that disadvantage men.
But Kojo, you can't.
If you don't push that narrative, if you don't push that
situation,
Ama,
feminism can't force you to say your father is a deadbeat when he's actually not.
Exactly, but feminism can say that most fathers are deadbeats. So if yours is not, then you are lucky. So if yours is not, then you are lucky. Your father is in the minority. He is not in the minority. The natural instinct is for a man to look after. Why do you think men are going out there to dig those trenches and build those pylons? Do you think they are doing it so that they can come and abuse you? No, they are doing it because their natural instinct is to look after, to protect, to provide security. That's their natural instinct. So when they are out there working and sweating, they are doing it because somebody relies on them. That's our natural instinct. Yours is what? Nurturing? Yes, I agree. Your natural instinct is to provide a home. I agree. So if a woman abandons her home, it's not normal. It's not normal because it goes against
the children to the woman. Because that's the natural instinct. Thank you, Kojo, for clarifying that nicely for me.
No.
That's the natural instinct of
the natural instinct of a woman is to provide a home, or to nurture a home, or to manage a home. That's a natural instinct. In order to do it, she employs a man. That's why I find it funny when you women talk about patriarchy. Patriarchy. You think this world is run by men?
It's not.
We are your laborers.
Oh.
Men are women's laborers. That is the real state of this world. I remember somebody was asked, so what would happen if patriarchy was overturned and women were in control? What role would men have in society? And this woman said, oh, well, then men would be the worker bees. They are the ones who will be fixing the roads and, farming in the forest and, hunting and those things.
One of those things that I disagree with, of course. And one of those things you send me that
this was the view of an intelligent woman. And when she said it, the interviewer asked her that,
Kojo,
is that not what is happening now?
Kojo,
is that not, allow me, is that not what is happening now?
No.
Are men not the ones doing all of these jobs? And what are they doing it for? For women. Even divorced men. They are making money so they can find another woman. We are all working for you. And you say patriarchy. Ama, feminism.
Let's break that down. Okay, Kojo is looking for his pen.
My pen, yes. My pen has escaped.
Even your pen disagrees with you. We'll take a quick commercial break, so let's be right back.
This program is proudly brought to you by Malta Guinness.
Welcome back from that break. We are still on the Progressive Women's Show. This evening, we are looking at the other side of feminism. Let me expand on that. When we shout equality, equity, and then the men say, well, what about us? And I've always found that a little shocking. But like I said before, it's a conversation I have with my brother all the time, Kojo. and he hasn't disappointed me. It looks like very soon we put on our boxing gloves. No, but you see, and Kojo is a genuine lack of understanding I'm expressing, where consistently today's man is saying, how about me? And I find that shocking.
Yeah.
Because it's always been about you.
Can I first say, before I try to answer,
Why?
This is the nicest way you've ever asked me the same question. On other occasions, you are not so polite with it. But yes, I mean, it's a genuine question. Yeah, and I must say that I can see why it's a bit hard for anyone to see really what are you complaining about. But I want to present a certain perspective, for our consideration. I know we say that women are marginalized and they have such a disadvantage in life, that life is hard for a woman. I think it's true. Let me first say that I think it's true. Life is hard for a woman. I mean, I don't even want to know what it's like to give birth, because what my eyes behold tells me that in no day flow and therefore. So I acknowledge that life is hard for a woman. I mean, and again, when I say that, I'm talking about the rule, the norm, not the exception. There are some women who will never have children, so they are an exception. But the rule, the norm, life is hard. So I want to describe what life is like for the average man as well. The norm, for the rule, the normal man. What is life like for him? Where do I begin? Okay. So the same way that society has expectation of women, society has certain expectation of men. You're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to compete for resources. And not for yourself, but for your dependents. You're supposed to propagate the species. Right? And propagating the species is not just about going around impregnating women. Again, that is not the norm, that's the exception. If you are going to go around impregnating women, you'd better look after the offspring. You'd better nurture the offspring. You'd better be responsible for the well-being, health, and wealth of the offspring, and in some cases, the woman too, if you are married. So, the norm is that as a man, you are supposed to provide for yourself and others, not just yourself. You are supposed to defend yourself and others. You are supposed to fight for yourself and others. But who is helping you? Because a woman is supposed to do some very tough things. You're supposed to have children. You're supposed to nurture and look after a home.
You're supposed to be strong. You're
Forgive
supposed
me.
to compete
Forgive
for
me.
resources.
Forgive me, Ama.
You're supposed to propagate the species, that is,
Ama.
provide
Ama,
for yourself
a woman is
and
not,
others. In addition to all the
Ama.
natural
Ama.
expectations
a woman is
placed on the woman.
Ama, a woman is not expected to be strong. Maybe during childbirth, yes. But in the typical goings and comings of the average woman, you are not required to use strength.
Be strong.
You are not. A man is required to be strong, is supposed to provide security. Look, let me ask you this. Do you like tall men?
Yeah.
Do you know why you like tall men? It's built into your DNA to look for a person who at first sight can protect your cave. That's your DNA.
And Kojo, you know this about me because
people smarter than me have studied the topic. Me, I'm just learning from them. And those smart people include women. So the fact of it, the science of it, is that you look for traits in a man that demonstrate that the man can protect you. Do you know why? Because it's not your role to protect yourself. And that is okay. This is not a complaint. I'm not making a complaint here. I'm stating a fact. There are traditional rules. And the traditional role of a man is to protect. He needs strength. If a woman finds herself in a position where she needs strength, it's because there is no man playing a traditional role in her life.
Okay, so by strength, we are defining strength in a very narrow, just the physical. That's what you're doing.
I'm relying on the dictionary. I'm not getting metaphysical here.
I'm not
translating the Bible. I'm not interpreting the Bible. I'm talking about, I said a man is required to be strong. That's what I said.
Don't worry, Kojo.
And when I say a man is required to be strong, I mean he's required to have physical strength. That's exactly what I mean.
And
I'm not talking about emotional strength.
Expected to be strong.
Physical strength?
Yes.
Ama, don't make life complicated.
That too, Kojo.
Don't make life complicated.
That too.
We are talking about traditional rules, not exceptions. You have to bear that in mind. Yes, there are some women weightlifters. They are not the norm.
I agree.
They are the exception.
I agree.
Yes, there are some women security guards. They are not the norm. They are the exception.
Okay.
Typically.
So definition of strong. Having the power to move physical weights or perform other physically demanding tasks.
Thank you very much.
Also, same dictionary.
So you are giving me a second definition.
Also.
Me, I said I'm relying on...
I'm also relying on the dictionary, Kojo. Able to withstand force, pressure, wear. So the man is strong, the woman is strong. Society expects the man to be strong. Society expects the woman to be strong. It's just different forms of the strength.
All right, Ama. So I am talking about physical strength. The first definition there. It's a pity that you've made us.
Okay, then I'm also talking about
take a detour.
Definition
All
of
right.
strength.
So let me finish.
So the
mine.
man is expected to be
Let
strong.
me finish mine.
The woman
you
is
can bring in
expected to be
yours.
strong.
No. I am talking about physical strength. It is a traditional expectation of the man. Physical strength. Let's please agree on that so that we can move on. Because we'll spend too much time talking about this. When it is not, it is not the norm for a woman to be expected to be physically strong. It's not the norm.
But it is the norm for a woman to be expected to be psychologically, emotionally strong.
Okay, let's agree on that. Can I now go back to my point about physical strength? This is my sister. Okay. All right, so back to my point.
The number of times I was told as a little girl that you're back quick crown. You know, of times I heard that.
That's not physical strength. That's emotional strength.
That's what I mean.
But I'm not talking about emotional strength. That I will come to that. By the way, we'll talk about the requirements of a man to be emotionally strong. We'll come to that.
0.
Is that so?
Yes, Kojo. 0.
Ama,
in that instance,
do you know any men? Do you know any men?
I know Kojo.
You are married to one.
I know Kojo Yankson. Let's start from there.
Thank you. Let's start from Kojo Yankson. All right. When I'm stressed out, when I'm being buffeted, when I go on social media and political activists are insulting me, do I call you and cry to you?
No, you don't.
When it happens to you, do you call Kwame and cry to him?
Because when it happens to Kwame, he calls me and he cries to me. It's different. But I don't call you and I cry to you.
Kwame is married to an exceptional woman. Do not superimpose your reality on the world because you are very different from the typical woman.
Kojo.
Let's get back to my point. Men are required to be emotionally strong because there is no emotional support for men. There's none. If you have a problem, it's your problem. If she has a problem, it's your problem. When a woman is unhappy, the marriage is at risk. When a man is unhappy,
the marriage is at risk.
No.
The marriage is at risk.
When the man is unhappy, the man better fix himself.
No.
Ama, let's talk about the norm.
I'm talking about the norm.
How many men have divorced because they were unhappy?
You know
How
what
many
men do when they claim they are unhappy?
They'll go and cheat.
Absolutely.
They will go and do something that biology designed them to do.
This is another conversation.
That marriage.
Yes. Let's finish one conversation.
Let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be real. What monogamy does is that it calls on a man to do something that is not his natural instinct. That's not even what God made him to do.
I refuse to go on that with you.
I'm sorry, the science is the same. We'll come back to that. Let's talk about.
I completely disagree with you about that one.
Let's talk about how hard a man's life is. Not only am I required to fight for resources, I'm required to make something out of nothing. That's how you get resources. You start from a position where you don't have the resources. You end at a position where you have the resources. That means you make something where there is nothing. Do you know the only person on record to have done that? God. But we do that every day. Every day. Who are we doing it for? We are doing it for you. We're doing it for women and children. Look, I keep quoting this thing that only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. Men are loved on condition that they provide. Society assigns value to men. Women assign value to themselves.
You know that's not true.
Amma, let me.
Kojo, you know that what you're saying is not true.
Demonstrate to you why it's true. A woman can get up and say, I'm a princess. I deserve a man who earns 6 figures. I deserve a man who is loving, nurturing, caring, tall, handsome, strong, can cook, speaks 5 languages, is intelligent, can take me to the opera, has a nice car. A woman can say all these things and list a full cornucopia of requirements. Why does she require these things? Because she's a princess. She has assigned herself value. Can a man get up and say, I'm rich? I don't have a job, but I'm rich. I'm a tycoon, I'm a multi-millionaire. So I require a slender woman with a big backside. She must have breasts, she must be light-skinned. Her skin tone must be between color 3 and color 4 on the E scale. She must be a, what's it called? She must be good in bed, she must be a good cook. She can't be fat. I don't like fat women.
You know why I'm laughing?
Amma, let me finish.
Both of them are dreamers.
Amma, let me finish.
Both the man and the woman you
but
cite
women,
in your example
listen,
are dreamers.
switch on your phone. Women are saying, allow me, permit me please. Switch on your phone. Women are saying this on every social media handle. They are posting it with pride. If a man goes to say, I don't like fat women,
men are doing
please,
that
let me finish. If a man goes to say, I don't like fat women, they'll say you are body shaming.
Yes, and women are being called gold
diggers. Women are assigning value to themselves.
Those women you speak about
Listen,
are
right
being
now,
called
right now,
gold
if a
diggers.
man calls a woman like that a gold digger, they will say, Massa, talk according to your pocket. You just can't afford her. She's not a gold digger. I'm sure you agree with that sentiment. Thank you. And so this is the point I'm making.
This my silence was not consent.
This is the point I'm making. This is the point I'm making. Women assign value to themselves.
Men assign value to themselves.
Society assigns value to men. A man who assigns value to himself is delusional.
The woman who assigns value to herself is delusional.
She is not. Amma, she's the norm. She is the norm. Listen, Amma, you may have come from a golden generation, but today we are in the Momo generation. And the women of the Momo generation, they are interested in what you can provide. They don't even recognize that they are required to provide something. No. Just by existing, you owe them money.
Oh, I feel the same way about men. Men feel that just by existing, they're entitled to women.
They're entitled to what?
And a certain kind of women. That's why a man.
Amma, which reality are you talking about?
Kojo,
let me ask you this. Who can get sex easier, men or women?
Both.
Amma, please come back to reality. Men have to work for sex. You have to earn it. You have to chase it, pursue it. In many cases, pay for it, whether directly or indirectly. But you must commit resources, time, and effort to get sex. Women are talking about. If you allow me to complete my point, then you can dispute it. If you allow, good.
These are the cultural changes that
so let's have it. Let me finish.
Advocating for.
Good. Let's have it.
A woman can also have sex anytime she wants it. Just like the man can have sex anytime he wants it.
Listen.
Right? And not feel like he has to pay for it.
Listen.
Kojo, let's establish some fundamentals and then we move on.
But I didn't even finish my point.
We need to make, these are cultural issues we speak about.
So let me make the cultural point. So let me make the cultural point.
Make it in a context.
Thank you. The point is this. Women naturally, you are literally avoiding sex. So much of it is coming at you that you are avoiding it. You don't have to work hard for sex. So it is harder for a man to get sex than a woman. Now, if somebody does something that is hard, They are praised for
That's
it.
a cultural
Let me finish. Let me but does it exist or not?
It does.
Good. So let me make my point. Let me make my point, and then you make yours. So if you get praised for doing something that is hard, you don't get praised for doing something that is easy. So the same way that a man doesn't get praised for having a job, a woman doesn't get praised for getting sex. No one says, hey, well done, you bagged this man. No. But they say it to a woman. To a man. They'll say it to a man. Well done that you got this woman. Do you know why?
Cultural constructs that we are trying to change. It's part of the changes that we are trying to.
Why do you want to change it?
I want to change
Why do you want to change? Why do you want to change the traditional roles, the traditional roles that men and women have arrogated onto themselves? Why do you want to change them?
Because
so that women can be men and men can be women.
Why can't we all just be human beings? Why do we have to be a man? Why do we have to be a woman?
But we're not the same.
Why can't we all be human beings?
Why do you have to be a woman? Why do I have to be a man?
Yes. You're going to say because
maybe you should ask your audience. Maybe you should ask your audience to answer that question. Now, even my gender is a matter of debate.
No, this is not the conversation I want us to have. The conversation I want to have is that it comes with putting people in boxes. It comes with roles, and that's the problem. Being a woman shouldn't come with specific roles. Being a man shouldn't come with specific rules. That's the conversation we are having.
But why is that better? Why is that better than specific rules? Why is no role better than rule?
Because no role means that I can exist as a human being.
You already exist as a human being.
No, now I exist as a gender.
As a woman.
That's the problem.
And it's a problem to be a woman.
No, it's a problem to be engendered. Kojo.
There is a reason why gender comes with rules. It's because if we all fulfill the same purpose, and there are 7 billion of us in this world, then 6.999999 billion of us are useless. We can't all play the same role.
No, Kojo, don't deliberately misunderstand me.
I'm not even obfuscating. I'm being very straightforward here.
Kojo,
the fact is, we can't all play the same role. As soon as a relationship forms, roles are assigned. Now, I am not saying that in every relationship the man must play the same role and the woman must play the same role. No, it's up to the people in the relationship. So you can have a relationship in which the woman is playing the man's role.
No role. The woman is just being herself. How about that? She's not playing the man's role. She's just being herself.
Rules.
If the woman is more aggressive than the man, that's her personality. It's not
even a goal you should aspire to, because I've told you it puts men at a disadvantage. Let me explain.
Human beings at a disadvantage based on their physical, psychological disposition.
It puts men at a disadvantage because society assigns value to men. Women assign value to themselves.
I disagree.
But I'm sorry that you disagree. You are disagreeing with reality. You are disagreeing with reality. I'm going to stick to reality. Even though I don't like it, that is reality.
No.
Society assigns value to a man. Women assign value to themselves.
Not true.
So in light of this, if you remove gender roles,
so what that means is that any value to myself, Kojo, and you would accept it.
I can't. If I argue with it, I'm a misogynist.
But that's not true.
But that's the fact. Assign a value to yourself and let me disagree with it in on this camera and see if I don't get attacked.
Woman alive.
Oga Yere, I praise and worship your cash.
I
agree and accept.
Kojo, how is this?
You see,
because you clearly I am not the richest man. Kojo, how would you accept this?
If you come in
and
here,
if you say that you're not the richest man in the world,
if you say I should treat you like the richest woman in the world, and I refuse to do so, what that means is that I am challenging your sense of self-worth.
Kojo, no.
And if I do that, I become the enemy. These are the facts. That's just how the world works. I don't know how you are going to get out of it. But if you walk out of this studio right now, that's the world that is waiting for you. A world in which you determine your worth. I have to wait for society to determine mine. So if you remove what is my traditional role, you are removing my worth. Life is hard enough for me as it is.
That macho, that
you are removing my worth. You are calling it macho masculinity.
That we
Ama, let me ask you. When I asked you if you prefer tall men, you said yes.
I don't.
Good.
What's another word for the opposite of prefer?
You told me your preference.
What's the opposite of prefer?
I don't know what the opposite of
prefer.
Disprefer?
I do not disprefer short men.
Ama,
I don't mind.
Ama,
tall men, great. Short men, great.
Ama, if you have a choice between a tall man and a short man, and there is no cost to making the choice, you pick the one you like, and it is the tall man. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about it. Now let me make my point.
Hold on. In choosing a partner, I didn't even know I was looking for a tall man or a short man.
Ama, I said if you had the choice, because maybe the way you ended up with your partner wasn't through a physical selection process. You came by your partner through a different process.
People don't do the physical selection process.
We all do physical selection, if not for marriage, at any opportunity.
Okay,
Whether
so
even if it is
thing.
no, even
men do physical selection. Is that the conversation we're having?
Even if it is a matter of choosing who you are going to walk with in the dark to the junction.
You think I'll prefer a tall
man?
You
pick the tall man. Why would you pick the short man? Why?
What's
the advantage?
This whole short conversation is on you.
I'm sorry, but I want us to be, clear. Unless the short man is the president, who comes with a team of tall men, a team of tall men that he's paying, so that your walk to the junction will be safer. You understand? So what I'm saying is this: we all make these value choices, okay, and we pick men based on what they can provide.
I disagree.
Okay, Ama. I think you will start finding that a lot of the women who are feminists, who are watching us right now, are starting to feel that perhaps your reality is different from theirs.
No. I mean, yeah.
Because
I'm not going to argue that.
Okay.
The point is that we don't have the same realities. That's
good.
That's true.
So we can't create one reality for the world. We have to understand that the reality that already exists, it exists for a reason. What we can do is make the best of it and make sure that nobody is disadvantaged by the current reality.
Feminism.
Yes, but feminism must succeed.
Yes.
Okay, that's where you and I agree. It must succeed.
Yes.
Now, if it starts to focus on turning men into women and women into men, it will not succeed.
But that's not what feminism is trying to do.
That is exactly what it is.
That
is exactly what you have sat here and tried to convince me that women must be strong.
Yes.
You have sat here and tried to convince me that what's it called? It doesn't matter whether a man is tall or short. It doesn't matter. When you know it matters, you prefer tall men, but you insist that it doesn't matter.
Kojo, I did not marry who's the tallest man in the world. I'm not even married the second tallest man in the world. No, Kojo, but Kojo, when I say that, when I say that, I wish people could see the studio right now. It's so biased against me. I'm the only female in the studio.
Not in this conversation. You are not biased. It's not. This conversation is not biased against you.
When I say that a woman must be strong, it is not an aspiration. It is a reality. Women are expected to be strong. It's not me wanting women to be something other than what they are.
Emotionally strong.
Emotionally strong. Women are expected to be strong.
Emotionally strong.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. I don't disagree.
Physically strong.
Why are women expected to be physically strong? Why are women expected to be physically strong?
Kojo, in our folklore, haven't you heard women being told to eat? Don't you know of the fattening house? Women were actually taken to fatten them so they could be strong.
For what?
Child rearing.
Thank you.
Taking care of the home.
Thank you.
Childbirth. Everybody appreciates that taking care of the home is a very strenuous, physically straining exercise.
Women were not fattened for housekeeping.
They were.
They were fattened for childbirth.
And housekeeping.
Don't alter
End
reality.
the time we pop the baby out. That's not the end of childbirth.
That is where your strength. That is where your physical strength requirement ends.
No, carrying that baby, putting that baby on your shoulder, putting that baby on your back. Then 3 years.
Then the men who have to carry 3 logs every day, they should be fattened even more.
No, Kojo, but that's a small,
than women who have to go into a few hours of labor.
Kojo, blasphemy.
It is a few hours. Labor is a few hours.
Do you want to
I'm
try?
sorry. I can't do it. I can't possibly do it. But I am talking about its duration. And I'm speaking facts.
Okay, now I'm talking about the duration of raising a child.
That doesn't require physical strength.
Yes, it does.
Ama, raising a child doesn't require physical strength.
Yes, it does.
Especially not when the child has a father.
Yesterday.
Especially not when the child has a father.
So yesterday, when I closed late, actually, 2 days ago, when I closed late, I went to my mother's house to pick my son, and my son was sleeping, and I had to physically carry him from my mother's bed into the car, and my husband was still at work or at home. I'm not sure where he was.
Using his physical strength at
only
work.
because you said that's something that's only required of the man.
Yes,
in
because
a marriage.
that thing you had to do last night. That thing you had to do last night. It is not in your job description. It's something you had to do at that moment.
I do every day.
Ama, you don't have to do it every day. It is not a requirement.
So when I get to my mother's
it is not a
house and I
requirement.
have to
So
pick
if you
my
and your
son,
if you and your
then
husband,
you have me to call family that hello, I'm here, he's sleeping. Wherever you are, can you
do you know why? Do you know why you had to do that? Do you know why you had to do that? Because your man wasn't there. I rest my case.
No, you don't have a case, Kojo.
Ama, if he was there, he would have done it.
Kojo, you don't.
Because he wasn't there, you had to do it, and it has even become a memory that you are now sharing with the world.
No, Kojo, only because you brought it up.
Okay, but Ama, you brought it up.
You brought it up.
Physical strength is not a requirement
for the woman.
Physical strength is not a requirement for women.
If you're going to
Ama, it's not a requirement. It is only something you need in the absence of men. When men are there, you don't need to apply physical strength. If we could bear children for you, we would. Look, I watched a video that broke my heart. So there was this guy going around some Scandinavian country asking men, said, look, if death came to your door and said, I can either take you or take your wife, who would you let death take? As you can imagine, the man said, oh, me, take me, leave my wife. Take me.
Did we have another study where the women were asked?
Please let me finish. Please let me finish. I'm getting there.
Okay.
They asked about 10 men. All of them said, take me, leave my wife. Then they started asking women. Same country. Most of them were the wives of the same men they had just questioned. Oh, why should he take me? Take the man. Take the man. Take the man. Not a single one of them said, take me, leave my husband. Not one.
Can we break this down?
So, no, let me break it down for you. That's why I brought it up. The reason why men do that is because they understand as part of their role a sacrifice to the death for the benefit of others. And in the same vein, women understand in their role that they are the most valuable person in the relationship. Therefore, everything must be done for them.
Can we speak about that?
And
value?
the world
Can we
follows
speak about that value?
And the world follows that trend. Everything a man does is for a woman. Again, I'm talking in general terms. There are selfish men. But everything that your average typical man does is for a woman. Everything he's doing to break his back, whether he's going to school, whether he's working, whether he's earning money, saving money, depriving himself of every sacrifice he's making, is for his family. Is for a woman. A man doesn't go out and carry bricks so that he can come and oppress a woman.
Kojo, it's for him.
A man, so this patriarchy that we are toppling, in essence, what we are doing is we are convincing men that sacrifice that they are making is not needed.
Okay, Kojo, so we are going to have a conversation we've had perhaps 3 or 4 times already. And I always say
off air. Yes.
You know, and I always say this to you, Kojo, that for me, patriarchy is not about people's individual experiences. That the minute we start doing that, we sort of limit that conversation and we completely miss it. It's about a system, right? The system that says this is patrilineal, this is those type of systems where in 2022, women still cannot own land simply because they were born with one anatomy and not the other. So patriarchy for me is a systematic issue. It's not about people's. As for the individual conversations, we can have them.
Wait, are you saying that today there are laws that prevent women from owning land?
I'm saying that today there are traditions that prevent. If in some homes, in some families, if the man dies, everything will pass on to the man. even if there's a woman who is older, elderly, more than the man, that's our reality.
Yeah.
That's patriarchy.
So you're talking about inheritance laws.
I'm talking about every system that disadvantages one gender over the other. And in most instances, the gender that is disadvantaged is the female gender.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that there are also systems that disadvantage men. Right? You were asking that, why are men saying, what about me? I've told you, marriage is a system that disadvantages
but I have also
men.
told you that that's not possible. I've
not
debunked every single one of your arguments.
You actually did not debunk any of them. Because everything you said, I told you that if a woman were to do those things, it will come at a cost.
Culture. We are back to culture.
You are the one who thinks there's something wrong with our culture. I don't.
But why?
Even though it disadvantages us, I don't think there's something wrong with it.
Why?
Because I am designed to sacrifice for you.
Kojo, hold on. Why should you be able to have a child comfortably out of wedlock and I shouldn't be able to do that? Why?
I didn't say that you shouldn't be able to do that. I said it comes at a cost.
But why should it come at a cost?
Because you don't want to fund the raising of that child by yourself.
I do want to fund the raising of that child by myself. Why would society try to stop me?
Stop being the exception. Be the rule.
Kojo.
The rule is that women do not want to fund the raising of a child. Go and ask them. Don't rely on me. Go and ask them. Let me give you evidence. Let me give you evidence. Recently, children were asked in a classroom, what do you want to be when you grow up? One child, a girl, said that when she grows up, she wants to be a mother of 2. And the person asking the question said, okay, what kind of husband would you like? She said, I don't want a husband. I said, why do you want to be a mother of 2 without a husband? He said, because if I'm married, I can't collect child support. Currently, our laws make it an advantage, in fact, an incentive for women to divorce men.
And you wonder why?
Ama, you want to talk about why. I want to talk about what it means.
But it's the why.
So,
that's the reason why what it means becomes relevant. It's
always
the why.
No. But so once I say what it means, then you can talk about the why and blame us again.
But why is crucial to the conversation.
The reason why it is now an incentive for women to divorce men after they've had children with them is because the law makes it so. Once a woman divorces a man and has custody of the children, she has a free source of income for the rest of the children's natural life.
That is what the reality of most people.
Oh, it is the reality of most divorces. It is the reality of most divorces. And let's just accept these facts so that we can talk about how to fix them. You can't take the exception and make it the rule. The rule is that in most divorces, the woman is financially better off. So if that is the case, then there is an incentive for women to leave marriages. And the statistics bear it out. More divorces are caused by women than men. So if this is our reality, then you have to ask yourself, is life really as rosy as you think for men? When you point to the example of men who have advantage, men who are rich, who are employers, who have this, who have that, who have the right to this or that, you're talking about 1% of men. 99% of men have a really terrible life. I almost swore there. 99% of men have a really terrible life. But nobody sympathizes with them because they expect terrible life to be their norm.
No way. Then let's talk about the 99% of women who have terrible lives. How about the
99% of women do not have a terrible life. Society is designed to protect women. You don't have a terrible life.
Okay, we are saying don't protect us. What's the problem now? We are saying that treat us as your equals. What's the problem? We are saying don't protect us. Your protection means that in this marriage,
don't protect
because
us.
you have the financial power, I have to be subservient to you. My existence has to be devalued in such a way that I place second fiddle to you, and we are saying that it's okay. I want to have the same value that you have.
I want to know which woman is saying don't protect us.
All women.
Look, Ama, you couldn't. Look, women do not want to be men.
Kojo. So here's what. Let's break it down this way. If feminism is, what's the word to use? Actually, no, not that, because we've already agreed that both of us are feminists and we all agree, so not that.
And feminism must work.
Must work, right? So if men have it that tough, right, under the present circumstances, and we are saying that Don't have it off. Let's share the responsibilities equally. Let's coexist equally. What's the problem?
The problem is what I said earlier, that unfortunately, the value of a man can only be acquired through having a tough life. That's the only way. So if you take that away from us, you take away our value. Now that tough life that we are having, it's not for our personal benefit. It's not. We are secondary.
And we love you, Kojo. We love you so much. We are saying, Kojo, don't have tough life. Men, our darling men, do not have tough life.
I heard your question. You let me now hear my answer. Hear my answer. Matters, but let me hear my answer. Look, if it will take away our value, and at the same time, the beneficiary of our value is you, then when we hold on to it, it's not for ourselves. We're holding on to it for you. You are saying you don't want it. But trust me when I tell you that if you take it away and you remove my value, nobody wins. Because after you've done all that, you will still prefer the tall man. Now, I use the tall man to represent the stronger, dominant man of value. So height is just an example I'm using. I don't want us to get bogged down.
I have deliberately, the small points, I have deliberately resisted the urge to bring up the value that men place on women and the expectation. You are using tall men. I would use curvy woman. Actually, as the expectation of the average man.
Actually, that is not an expectation when a man is choosing a partner. A lifetime partner, no. That's not.
But you think that a tall man is an expectation of the woman when she's choosing a lifelong partner?
Yes.
A tall man.
Yes, it has.
You think that I would marry somebody because he's tall?
Mama, if you had a choice between two men and there was no cost to either choice, and one was taller, you would pick the taller.
Okay, Kojo, if you have a choice between two women and there's no cost, would you pick the curvier woman?
No, I'll pick the woman who will give me peace.
But you think I will pick the tall man?
Yes.
Simply because I'm a woman?
No, because you want security.
But you don't want a curvy woman?
No, we want comfort. Men want comfort.
And you think men don't want comfort?
Want security.
Kojo, right? That's security. Do you know what it is?
It is the security that makes you comfortable.
I agree. But no, hold on. Do you know what I'm agreeing about, Kojo? That's security.
To provide us with
security. And this is where you completely miss it, Kojo. That security means different things to different women.
Yes.
For me, the security is not in your physique, how tall or stout or none of those things mean absolutely nothing for me. I don't feel more secure with you because you are taller.
Ama, when there's a noise in the night, do you wake Kwame up to go and check? Or do you go yourself?
I won't answer that question because you're going to say that I'm the exception to the rule. I'm not going to answer that question because...
So answer it on behalf of women.
No, I will not. Because I have no capacity to do that. Let's take a quick commercial break. We will be right back.
This program is proudly brought to you by Malta Guinness.
Welcome back to the show. This is the Progressive Women's Show. This evening it's been hot in the studio as I argue it out with the Kojo Yankson about the other side of feminism. Few ground rules. Both of us believe in feminism. Both of us believe is the way to go. We disagree about the how, and there's no end to this disagreement. I promise you that we've been having this debate for a while now. We will never end. However, I want us to make progress, Kojo. Our conversation, the reason why both of us keep having this conversation is because we are all interested in impact, right? That at the end of the day, we will live in a better society that works for both men and women. Feminism has come to stay. If both of us agree that it's the way to go, we disagree on the modality, so to speak, the how we are getting the kind of things that we are espousing as the way to go. I have mine, you have yours. What would you say would be the ideal way to achieve a better society for both men and women through feminism?
Well, I certainly think that we absolutely need feminism to succeed. It will make our society better. Our society is not perfect. One of the ways in which it can improve is if we have a strong and effective feminism movement. Or in fact, if it gets to the point where it's no longer a movement, but an accepted reality. So it must work. We disagree on the details, but I think some of the broad things that we can both agree on is that feminism, in order for a woman to succeed, nobody must, it shouldn't be because at the cost of someone else's, forgive me. In order for feminism to succeed, women should not have a better life at the cost of another gender. We should all have a better life.
But you really will not end this show.
Oh, Amma,
We can't end this show.
I think we are concluding.
Can we conclude?
Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm saying that women must have a better life. It should not be at the expense of a man. We should all be able to have a better life. So what feminism should do is to seek to ensure that women are not put at a disadvantage. But it should not seek to put men at a disadvantage. That's it.
You're asking for the impossible.
It's not impossible. I don't know why you think it's impossible.
Let me explain why it's impossible. So right now, there is privilege. And the one that holds that privilege is the male gender.
What's our privilege?
Hold on, Kojo. Hold on. That's the reason why feminism is important. And we've all agreed that feminism is important.
Yes.
We agree there's a wrong that needs to be righted. And that wrong that needs to be righted is the fact that the male gender has privilege. And feminism says, let's spread it across. So obviously, just taking that privilege away
Don't
means
take
that
it away.
Hold on,
Don't
Kojo.
take it
Kojo,
away.
Hold on.
Just improve a lot of women.
How do you improve? Kojo, please bring your malt.
Why, Ejo Malta?
Men have 2. Women have 1. We are saying that let's even it out. What that means is that
Find
by
another
all
one for women.
means,
No.
I have to take this
No.
and share it so we'll be equal.
No.
That's at a disadvantage to this one because he's always had 2 and he's used to 2. That's privilege.
No, Amma.
So there's no way we can have this conversation about empowering her at his comfort level.
Amma,
It won't happen.
Amma, men have 2, women have 1. Men have privilege. There are not only 3 malt bottles in the world.
But there are only 3 malt bottles in the studio.
So let's find another.
From where?
That's how you improve the lot of women without without emasculating a man. It is important for men to be masculine.
No, this
being
studio
masculine,
represents
being
the world.
masculine
So
is not
for
a crime.
For the purpose of this conversation, this is the world. This
Then
is the
this
world.
analogy doesn't work
Ah.
because we don't live in a
Ah.
we don't live in a world that only has what's it called, a finite amount of opportunity, and men have already taken 2/3. That's not the world we live in. That's not the world we live in. It is possible for women to have opportunity without men losing theirs.
From
It is possible. Let me give you an example.
Going to find those opportunities
right
from?
now, there
For
is
instance, there
let
can
me give
only
you
be 1 president of Ghana.
Let me give you an example.
Unless you want us to have 2 presidents of Ghana.
Yes, but Amma, if there can only be 1 president of Ghana, what we have to do is make it possible so that either a man or a woman can be president. That's equality.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that you have to create 2 presidents.
What that means is that for some time a man will not be president.
Yes, but Amma,
And that's taking
that is
privilege
not
from the
that is
man.
not it. Who told you that?
But
So you are
that's the
trying to say,
order.
so are you saying
That's
that
the world
if we,
order.
are you saying that if we have women in leadership, men will have no privilege?
That is not what I'm saying.
That's what exactly what you're saying.
No.
You are saying that in
Hold
order
on.
for if a woman becomes a leader, men will become what, slaves?
No, oh, come on. Kojo.
Then
You know
why
that
are you
that's not what I'm
suggesting
saying.
that
I'm
the-
saying that
You don't have to take away from a man in
only
order to empower a woman.
one presidency. That's the only opportunity there is. In Ghana, only men have occupied that position.
And so if a woman becomes
Hold on, Kojo.
president,
If
men
a
can no
woman-
longer become
that's
president
not what
again.
I'm saying. I'm saying that if a woman becomes president, in that moment, a man is not. That's all I'm saying.
So are
if
you
a
say-
woman becomes president, in that moment, a man is not
So what you are saying
president.
is that the fact that the president is male is a disadvantage to women? I'm asking you, answer the question.
Yes.
The fact that the president is male is a disadvantage to
If
women.
it's not a disadvantage to women, why are we not allowing women to be president?
So the fact that I am male is a disadvantage to women.
No.
What do you mean?
No.
Because there's only one me. There's only one slot for me. So the fact that I am male, I'm occupying my slot is a disadvantage to women.
Don't oversimplify this conversation.
What are you talking about?
No, don't do that.
What are you talking about, Ama?
You know what I'm talking about. I want to know this Kojo, you need to accept that for women empowerment to become tangible, men have to get comfortable with losing some privileges. If we don't have that common understanding, we can't make progress.
Look,
there are how many seats in parliament? For women to have more seats in parliament, it will mean that men would have less seats in parliament. Let's agree. And then we can make progress.
If the whole point of the feminism movement is to ensure that women are not at a disadvantage, then how can the feminism movement be comfortable with men being at a disadvantage?
Because we have to level the playing field.
It is impossible
men
to level.
At an advantage.
It is impossible to level the playing field. Look, let me explain something. You might even talk about STEM. We are all fighting for more women to get involved in STEM, right? It's something that we all think is a good thing because there are real barriers, things that make it hard for women to pursue STEM careers. So if we can make it easier for them, I think we all agree it's a good thing. But you are always interested in the why. So ask yourself, why are women less interested in STEM?
That's not true. Women are not less interested in STEM.
Ama, you see, if there were women being turned away from positions, or from what's it called, the science class. If people were being turned away, that you're a woman, don't enter this class. Only men will be taught science. If that is what was happening, I would agree with you. But what is happening? No. But what is happening? But what is happening? What is happening is different. What is happening here is that the women who are interested, when they express the interest, they have the opportunity. They don't have as smooth a ride as men, right? That is something that must be corrected, okay? But it is not true that if you are a woman and you are interested, you will be told not to do it.
But Kojo, that thing that needs to be corrected is the whole point of this conversation.
I'm trying to make a point. Now, there is a reason why there is a smaller number of women expressing interest in STEM than men. If we are talking about what happens once a woman embarks on a STEM career,
but that's the whole conversation.
No, that's not the whole conversation.
That's the conversation.
That is a part of the conversation.
No, that's the whole conversation.
There is also a conversation about why not as many women are interested in STEM as men. And there's a reason for that. You can't ignore it. You can't discard it. There is a certain. You are
trying to get to a destination, isn't it? It's
why won't you let me get there?
You know that when you start.
Why won't you let me get there to the destination? Okay, but that's it. So there is, again, something you want to deny, but it's biology. There is something that makes STEM more interesting to boys than girls. There is something about it that makes it more interesting to boys than girls. That same something makes certain subjects more interesting to girls than boys. That same something. That thing is not something we choose. It's not something we assigned. It is something we are. So as long as there are more boys interested than girls, there will be more boys applying than girls. So there is a need for us to balance things in favor of the fewer girls applying so that they can get that opportunity. For me, that is creation of equality. But insisting that women must be interested in something they are not naturally interested in, that one, I don't know what the end goal is. If that's not what she likes, why do you want her to by force do it? Do you finally get the point I'm trying to make now? Should I wrap up for us?
Wrap up for us, but it has been interesting. It's always interesting having these conversations with you. If for nothing at all, I hope that we've sparked a conversation somewhere, that all of us, think about all the sides there are, to feminism. I think that what I always take away with me from some of these engagements with you, Kojo, is the fact that, yes, indeed, perhaps we have to be more compassionate, in our day-to-day interactions with men. That's what I always take away with me from our conversations. There's a systematic inequality that exists that we are trying to even. That our conversations will never, ever take away. That's a fact.
I appreciate that.
But I always take away with me the fact that in our everyday life, perhaps we should be a little bit more compassionate with men as we are with women. Because I agree that all of us sort of have a more compassionate disposition towards women. So perhaps that. So to that extent, yes. But then I also insist that systematically, Kojo, as a people, global citizens of this world, we need to acknowledge the privilege that men have that disadvantages women. And for all of us to agree that to make progress, it would come at some privilege loosen for men.
Okay.
And then move forward from there.
Okay. I think you're right. I think that if we can at least agree on the fact that there is a need for compassion all around. There's not a need to reduce the compassion for women. There may be a need to increase compassion for men. Right. But there is a need for compassion all around. Right. We can agree on that. The issue of privilege is one that you and I will debate forever, I think.
And I'm happy to debate all the time over malt.
Because
indeed. Chilled malt with ice.
That's right. That's how I like it. Because I think in the end, it's very difficult to ignore statistics like the fact. No, I'm not making a new point. I'm ending. That's what I'm doing.
You are meant to be ending.
Please, that's what I'm doing. I'm not starting a new argument. I'm ending. I'm wrapping up my thoughts. I'm saying that we live in a world where there are more women than men. But there are more men in jail than women. There are more male victims of violent crime than women. There are more males living in hunger and poverty and sickness than women. So it's very hard to identify the privilege that men are supposed to be having. But in as much as there is any opportunity to make life easier for women, we should take those opportunities. That is something you and I will always agree on.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Kojo, thank you.
My pleasure. Anytime.
See you next week. Bye.
So, you all know your number one beer, Guinness, comes in the bold black bottle. Well, I have great news for you all. Guinness Ghana has now introduced Guinness in cans, so you all can enjoy the bold black liquid for all occasions. It has the same great taste and is made right here in Ghana. With Guinness in a can, now there are more ways you can enjoy your Guinness. Enjoy the same Guinness you're used to, but now in a can for your convenience. Same Guinness, same taste. With Guinness in cans, you can. Same great taste and made right here in Ghana. Drink responsibly. Not recommended for persons under 18 years of age. Not suitable for pregnant women. Don't drink and drive. If you drink, don't drive.